And we are live. Oop, a little blurry there. Welcome. It is Monday morning at 9:30 a.m. Actually, it's Mountain Standard Time. I think it's really strange. Arizona is the only state, besides I think one other state, that actually doesn't change its time zones. It's really weird. So for whatever reason, like we just stay the same. We just become Mountain or Pacific. So if it's off in your area, my apologies. But I was going this last week. We're actually at Digital Marketer shooting the new Google Ads. Shooting new paid traffic certification. So that was really fun. So we flew to Texas and went inside their studio and did about 25 hours worth of video shoots. So I got back last night at about 10 p.m. and I'm exhausted. But in Google News, there's been actually a kind of a major update in the smart shopping strategies that we've been deploying. Typically, before, like when we first started doing smart shopping a while ago, we used multiple smart shopping campaigns, and that multiple smart shopping campaigns were good, but what ended up happening was it wasn't cross-pollinating. So what that means is that a person would go to click on that and go to the website from one smart shopping campaign on one product. They would look at another product, maybe add that product to their cart and do not buy. And what ended up happening is that other product was in a different smart shopping campaign, and it wasn't spawning the remarketing out of that smart shopping campaign. So it ended up just not launching this campaign, and then this campaign would try to remarket the first product to them, and it just never worked. Recently, what it looks like is that the new ID parameter is actually now jumping between those smart shopping campaigns. So kind of like if you're familiar with a traditional standard shopping setup, the traditional standard shopping setup would be the multiple, standard shopping campaigns segmented by either ROAS or product or volume or whatever it may be, and then you give it its own daily budgets and you manage it that way. Now, it's starting to show smart shopping can do the same thing. So it's actually really big. I'm really, really excited about it, just because I've been testing it in a few different. Hey, Zach, I've been testing it in a few different campaigns, a few different accounts, and actually showing some really, really good results. So I'm super excited about it. It kind of changes the game for us in terms of how we set up our smart shopping campaigns. Through the testing, I sent out like a company-wide memo to everyone saying like, hey, here's the new way that we're going to be doing this, and give them about 4 or 5 different examples of how you can actually set it up. And one of them is, actually just kind of go through a few of them. So inside of smart shopping, normally you'd have one campaign, all the products. That's how Google actually wants you to market. They want you to actually stick everything in one product, and it makes sense because the top performers simply rise to the top. But then what ends up happening is if you have like $100, $150 a day and 1,000 SKUs, then what happens is you only see that maybe like 10. You don't have enough money, enough ad spend for like 10 of those products to actually get any sort of traction. So I got a few different ways that you can set it up. One is called top performers. So top performers in the past 45 to 90 days, depending upon your volume, are going to be the ones that sell 80% of the revenue, and it sells 80% of the time. So what you do is you take the top performing campaign that has 80% of the products that sell, and it might only be 10 or it might only be 5. You keep that in its own campaign. You start a whole new smart shopping campaign with everything else. So if you have, let's say, 100 products and you have 10 of them that are working and 90 of them are not, the 10 of them is where you keep in that campaign. You pause the other 90, you start another campaign with 90, but you split the budget 80-20. So you give 80% of the ad spend to the products that are working, 20% to the other ones, and then see if those will start to work. You can also do it by high margin, medium margin, and low margin. Smart shopping is really good at achieving ROAS goals. So if you have low margin products, you need a high ROAS, like 800%, stick that one campaign. Medium product might be 4, and high margin might be 200%. And you can break them out that way. You can do it categorically. So sometimes you have like a company that will sell like handbags and iPhone cases and shoes. We'll break those out into 3 different campaigns and find the ROAS of those type of products, because generally they're going to be about the same price, and you can break them up that way. Even volume. If you have campaigns that have 50% or more of the sale on low amount of products, but the ROAS isn't great, you can keep those products in that one campaign, take out everything else, crank up the ROAS, and only spend what you know you can afford to spend. So just 4 ways that you can kind of quickly break them out, and then obviously make up your own. You can do anything that your heart desires really in smart shopping. Treat it like how you would a standard shopping campaign, but now in smart shopping, which is actually super, super powerful. So really excited about that. But yeah, it's now that we have some people here, let's dive into some questions. Alejandro, what's the best way to minimize irrelevant traffic? I have a client that lives by the Canadian border, and he is still getting Canadian-based traffic despite my negative keywords. Should I just add new negative keywords as the campaign moves along? Well, a couple questions. I would assume that the person lives by the Canadian border. If they're in Canada, you're excluding the United States, and if they're in the United States, you're excluding Canada. I would imagine that's already being done right now. Is that correct? Let me go ahead and answer. We'll move on. Caden, Daily Google News. Caden's an employee now, and he just likes to say that on each one of these. Then, hey, Caden, get back to work. Actually, stay here. You'll probably, this will all be helpful. We have some more people coming in now, so it probably is going to get a little bit more hectic here as it moves on. I know that it's probably a different time now. It's like an hour either ahead or behind or where you're at. I don't know how time works. And so just depending upon where you live, it's going to be probably a little bit off. So if we have a light day today, it kind of makes sense because I just got to snuck attack everyone. But hopefully, hopefully people can see that when it's going on. Hey, Roman, really good to see you too. Roman, you're always good for a few questions. What do you got? And Alejandro, if you're still here, what I would say is if the person's living by the Canadian border and they're seeing some traffic, make sure you're excluding all those areas. Here's what I would do is if you're getting cross-country traffic, go into your locations, and there's two areas of your location. One's called matched and one's called account. And so you see the match locations and the account locations. There's actually two different selections. One is actually going to show you what you're targeting. The other one's going to show you what you're getting. So if you're in your locations and you see that you're getting traffic after you switch it over to account, if you see that you're getting traffic from other locations, go ahead and start adding those as obviously negative locations specifically. Hopefully we'll give another signal to Google saying that's not good. But obviously negative keywords is good if you're in the United States and you have a lot of Canadian searching, like this company in Canada or this service or this product in Canada. Obviously add Canada as a negative keyword. That is going to help. Google's just unfortunately not the best at identifying a very specific geography, just because with mobile people move around, and so it tries to say in or frequently in, and if you're a person that travels to Canada often, they're just going to see your ads. But look at the match locations, make sure you're excluding the countries, and make sure you're excluding the specific locations that you see Google matching for. What works best for catering business? Local ads, search ads, display ads, or Google? Well, it really depends. I still think that search ads are the most powerful in terms of local business. Now, local ads are good, but they're more focused on the brick and mortar, like I get to show up at your place. So if you have a brick and mortar with the front door that's wide open, Monday to Friday, 9 to 8 or whatever it is, and you want people to physically come to your store, then local ads are good. But I believe if you're a catering business and you have a local reach, I would still do a very small geography. Try 20 miles, and maybe is a good geography, and then use a lot of localized what they call qualified keywords. So caterer near me, catering near me, best local caterer, best caterer near me, local caterer, like those type of keywords to really start to drive very specific traffic. Anybody that's looking for the best local or near me is looking to make a decision now because they want to know who's close by and who can work with them. Make sure you have call extensions working. Those call extensions are going to be really important because people that are looking to hire a caterer, a lot of times they're just going to Google caterer near me and then click on the first call and be like, hey, do you guys do A, B, C, D, whatever it is. So I still would say that search ads are good because you're going to show up more for than just catering. Catering is a term that's good, but you're going to waste a whole bunch of money on it trying to find the people that are like looking for the people that are close by now want to call. So call extensions, local ads. Even if you wanted to do a targeted, I found that a Google My Business radius targeting, so like 20 miles around my Google My Business location, works really, really well. Works better than like the Nielsen DMAs, or works better than radius targeting. It's still radius targeting, but for whatever reason, the one that's around the Google My Business, Google just has much more knowledge about it. Not sure exactly why. So I would say that that's something that I would test. Can you do local lead gen using search ads? I had a lead click the call button 5 times. I forgot to change the conversion action to count only once. Yeah, I would. That's horrible. I've had that before. It's something that you definitely want to make sure you count only once. And then if you're doing the click to call, if you're counting it as conversions too, like make sure your call duration is set high enough. A lot of times 60 seconds is not high enough. I would sometimes, it depends on the client, or depends on what your business is. You might want to set it to maybe 2 minutes, maybe 120 seconds. That might be better. This way you don't have a lot of people that are like, hey, what do you do? I do this. Oh, you're not this? No. Okay, sorry, bye. Those are 60 seconds sometimes, or a lot of times. I see it in call tracking metrics all the time. So make sure that obviously when you do have the button, or when you're setting to the when you are making sure, sorry, I just have a person trying to log in here real quick. Let's see here. There we go, and we got him in. Cool. So make sure that we have a good call duration setting, and then make sure it's always set to that one call. Because otherwise, yeah, you're going to see like 5 conversions. It was the same person. All right, Victoria, still having trouble serving ads due to the destination mismatch glitch that happened a few days ago. Yeah, so I had the same thing. The issue is I wasn't having any problems serving the ads. Now it showed an error, but my ads were still showing. Victoria, are you saying that you're having a destination mismatch and you're not actually seeing any sort of impressions and clicks coming in at all? That's a different issue. One's a false positive, one's like a positive. So let me know if you're still seeing activity. It just says that it's not. Thinking of giving up on Google Shopping ads for a business after spending over $12K last year with only a few conversions and switching to search ads using audience segmenting. Any advice? Anthony, what's your URL? I'll give you some tips. You can drop it in the chat, or actually just give me the URL without the .com. I think sometimes YouTube like scrapes those. So just give me the URL without the .com. I'll go to it, and then I'll give you some advice, because it's really hard for me to kind of judge on that. We do have clients that, yeah, it simply just does not work. Competition's too high. The amount of money people are spending is too much. You might have too many products and not enough budget. I don't know. I mean, usually this is like the evaluation stage that we go through with like a client and say like, hey, here's everything that's right and wrong, and here's why. But let me know your website, and I'll give you kind of just my if your average cart value is too low. But if you're saying that you only had a couple conversions, something's definitely wrong. Zachary says, is there a way to delete conversions within Google Ads? Yes, but you need the G-CLID. And the problem is if you didn't capture the G-CLID, you can't go back to Google and say, hey, take this G-CLID off. You can remove conversions, but you have to be capturing all the G-CLIDs that you have sent back into Google and say, can you please remove these? So if you didn't capture G-CLID, unfortunately, like the call extensions don't have G-CLID. Well, they didn't before. And so you're not capturing them. Unfortunately, there's no way to kind of remove those. Tim says, how long does Google need to give the more impressions and clicks? My standard shopping campaign started getting impressions on 28th October. The campaign has 4,500 impressions, 18 clicks, and $8 in ad spend. What kind of campaign, Tim? It sounds like a bidding strategy issue. Could be. But tell me the campaign too, and then actually tell me, Tim S., the bidding strategy and the campaign, and then the budget. Let me know those three things. Roman, do you set up contact forms and phone conversions, not including conversions, only all conversions for shopping campaigns? Yeah. A lot of times we won't count those. Now it depends on the client. Sometimes the client sells like $30,000 products and $40,000 products, and those calls are good to measure and inform Google about. I'll give you an example. We have a client that sells ophthalmic supplies, and they're a lot of times are whole exam lanes are $80,000. Now, not a lot of people like to go to the website and be like, 80 grand, sure, here's my card. They want to call, they want to know what's the freight, the shipping, the training, the warranty, the return, all that stuff. So those calls are valuable. So I will actually append a monetizable value to those conversions so that Smart Shopping specifically can see revenue coming in. Because if Smart Shopping doesn't see any activity, it doesn't grow, it doesn't scale, it doesn't learn, adapt, and evolve. So if you don't append a revenue to a Smart Shopping campaign, or a campaign that's focusing on a ROAS, you're not feeding enough data. So if the calls are good and they're resulting in sales, give them a conversion value, include them in conversions, and then as you're doing your ROAS calculations, just remove the value of, when you segment by conversion action, know what was a sale, what was a call, take the amount of call volume, remove that from the actual conversion value, and then say, okay, here's what we made. E-commerce, now when you work with your clients, say, how many calls came in this week? I see 7. Did any of them buy? Here's the days it came in. And you're actually able to say, like, yeah, the client's like, oh yeah, I'm getting e-commerce sales and I have calls coming in. This is amazing. So give them a monetizable value if they happen most often, and if you think that a person is going to need to call in order to purchase. Can you suggest some 3 to 4 major steps you would take when auditing Smart Shopping campaigns for an e-commerce clients in the fitness niche? E-com Prod ID, is number one. Is it firing? Is it firing? Not only is it firing back the actual parameter that matches the feed? That's number one. Number two, did they start with a ROAS goal? If they did, just restart that campaign. That'd be the second thing. If you start with a ROAS goal, Google hasn't had a chance to learn before it just strictly said, yep, okay, this must work. Like, and then this is the target return estimate I need. Don't start and don't run and don't do anything until you give me 300%. Well, what happens is it doesn't run very well. So that's the second thing I would look at is, did they start with a ROAS goal? Check their change history and look at when the campaign was created and does it say ROAS is 250? Look at that first. Next thing is look at the conversion tracking. If it was set up in analytics versus a Google Ads tag, you're probably missing half your conversions. So look through and say, how did conversion tracking, how is it counting those conversions? Then look at the attribution model. Is the attribution model first click and last click, or, you know, depending on what's going on. If it's last click in the running a brand campaign, then your smart shopping is going to be atrophied. If it's, you know, first click, then that's a lot better. So look at the attribution model. Then look at model comparison tool and saying, are we really stealing too many conversions away from this campaign and coming back with return traffic elsewhere? So then also look at how many products and how much budget. If they have over 100 products, you're going to need to spend like $200, $300, $400 a day. If they have like 1,000 products and $50 a day, probably not going to work. So that's the next thing. And then finally, look at the average car value. If the average car value is like $40 and your average cost per conversion is 30, like, you might not be able to bring down more than, you know, your cost per click, because smart shopping, you can't control bids. But look at what products you're selling, what products are not, what the ROAS of those are. If they're spending too much money on those products that need to be shut off or pushed to their own smart shopping campaign, and if they have enough daily budget, and if their average car value is high enough. So there's a lot of things that you can look at. Hopefully, Waleed, that helps you. Running a smart shopping for 50 days, and the revenue has been good. ROAS is still low, 150, and it needs to be 250. I created a target and traffic. Basically, I created a target and traffic went to 0. Yeah. So what happens here, Christopher, is Google is saying, hey, do you need to have 250 ROAS? Okay, I don't have any products that I'm currently selling right now that can reach that metric. So it just dies. Christopher, a couple of questions. How many products total? What's the ad spend? If you don't know average car value off the top of your head, that's fine. But out of how many products that they have, if there's like 20, how many products are actually selling, like at a high level? Because if you have 20, there's going to be like 3 or 5 that are sucking up all of the budget. Tell me those things and I'll tell you what to do. I had 3 accounts that were hit with the glitch. 2 accounts are serving ads just fine. 1 account is not showing ads in a few campaigns. I would actually reach out to support. I have not had the issue where, like, I have the issue where you do, where it's like it's saying that the destination mismatch is actually happening, but it still shows. And then even in ad preview and diagnosis, I can switch from mobile device over to desktop device and say, oh yeah, it's showing. So reach out to support, just because you might be experiencing a different glitch than I think the majority of us are, just because I don't have any campaigns that are actually not serving. So check there first. Let's do a quick time check. Okay, about 10 minutes left. Is it okay to use maximize conversions for outbound companies? 0 conversions. Yeah, that's fine. What you're going to do with maximize conversions is you're going to try to find the bottom of the funnel. However, outbound is a little bit difficult. Outbound is usually not different. Usually it's not bottom of the funnel. People aren't just waiting around and be like, man, I really would love to buy a basketball right now, but no one served me an ad. You know, that doesn't happen. So maximize conversions sometimes can get a little too aggressive for people that aren't ready to buy, and you find out that your ROAS is terrible and that you have your cost per conversion is way too high. So use each network appropriately. If you have outbound campaigns, maybe set them, depending upon what you're doing, to a manual CPV, or sorry, at the outbound video manual CPV or manual CPC. I would try that, just because you can really control what you're wanting to spend on that top of funnel traffic. But bottom of the funnel bidding strategy on top of the funnel audiences sometimes gets expensive. Manual CPC and standard shopping campaign with all products in one campaign. Max CPC is 50 cents. Female apparel. All right, so manual CPC and standard shopping. Tim, yeah, you need to increase your CPC probably. Female apparel, in my opinion, start there. Move that 50 cents up to $2. Apparel is extremely competitive, and you're on standard shop, which means you're only showing in one area mainly, which is you can still have the Gmail and networks and that kind of stuff, but typically you're going to be showing up 95% of your traffic is on the search and result page. And what's happening right now is you're not spending enough to really be competitive because everyone else above you is probably spending way more cost per click. It's going to be very hard to take a female apparel and then say, oh, yeah, I want a good high position at 50 cents. You might find that it's $2, $3, $4. That's why I like smart shopping, because it goes dynamic prospecting. It actually goes around that and finds a person before they actually start searching and getting that competitiveness. But I would say that your CPC is probably too low. From the beginning, we should include calls and then import value with GCLID. Yeah, so we use call tracking metrics, so automatically captures GCLID and then doesn't send it in to Google Ads, even call extensions, until we score it and then send it in. And then actually through API sends in the GCLID and the value right into Google Ads, and it pops up in Google Ads under the campaign ad group keyword and ad that sold that customer as a phone call conversion for a value. And you can actually give different values right from call tracking metrics. You can say that call is worth $27, that call is worth $2,000, and you can send it right back in. So I don't have a way besides call tracking metrics to do that, but I would do that if you're really needing to track the value and importance of those calls. Interdeep, hey Interdeep, how you doing? Just re-up. Some months ago, I have added WhatsApp button tracking with ads. We stopped the ads for some months, and now it is showing the tag is inactive. When I try to reset, it does not fire in GTM. So if you're in GTM and you're using preview mode, you're saying that's not firing. If it's not firing, two things: check the tag installation, make sure nothing changed there. If nothing changed there, reach out to tag implementation team and make sure it's not a glitch. I can't tell you how many times I've fallen down rabbit holes. I'm like, everything looks fine, and then I call tag team and like, oh yeah, it was a glitch. We're working on it now, and then they fixed it. So if it's a tag inactive, sometimes what you can do is just scrap that conversion and just rebuild the conversion. Sometimes that works. So first, I would try to check the code, make sure nothing changed. Second, I'd rebuild the tag, that conversion, and try to refire it, making sure they're using Google Tag Preview and then actually previewing the conversion action saying, did it fire? And if not, then reach out to tag team. What do you recommend to do if a client has small budget for shopping campaigns, long run for smart? Yeah, if you have a small budget, run wide open without a T-ROAS on smart shopping campaigns. It's super, super, super hard. I mean, think about it, like it's gonna be a year optimization. It's not 90 days. Like with $2,000-$3,000 per month in a small handful of products, yeah, you can optimize in 90 days. Small budgets on smart shopping, even standard shopping, doesn't matter. Small budgets in general. Google Ads is getting more expensive. It got 283% higher CPC just last year than the year before. So think about everything just got 300% more expensive in Google Ads, and a small budget just means that it's that 3 times less powerful. So give it time. I have a campaign in which had multiple ad groups, one of which was branded. So I thought separating branded ad group by putting it into a separate campaign. Once it did, average CPC increased. It depends on what the bidding strategy is, though. If you are running a brand, it depends. Use absolute top or use search impression share bidding strategy. Do absolute top 100% of the time and set a max CPC of what it used to be. See how your search impression share is. And almost double. Do you know why? Yeah, I can't tell you what bidding strategy and what limits you set on it. A lot of times, too, what happens is if you set an own branded campaign, you're probably going to get a lot more traffic than what you used to have. And that lot more traffic is because you're paying for that traffic more. Also check analytics between the time that you started and stopped that. You started and didn't have that branded campaign running. You're probably going to see your direct and your organic start to decrease and just going to be coming through the brand campaign. Could be good or bad, just depends on the situation. Thanks, appreciate it. 7,700 products, around 20 products that have 3 conversions. ROAS about 250 AOV. Yeah, so Christopher, let me just go back to your question here just to double check to make sure. Running smart shopping 50 days, low ROAS. Yeah. So here's the thing is 7,700 products and 20 products that have 3 conversions, right? So what Google's doing is saying, hey, can I sell those 20 products above 250? No. Okay, I'm just going to stop. Segment out your campaigns. If you have 7,700 products, that's 7,680 too much for your budget. This is what it's telling you. So segment out your campaigns. It's going to take you a long time with 7,700 products, unless you have $100,000 a month. Or maybe even a day. So with the 7,700 products, I'd categorize them. So say, okay, these 7,700 products can be broken out to these 4 categories. Then put ad spend in those categories. Start to see what starts to work. Right now, Google's just saying, okay, I got this much money in 7,700 products. What sold those? Throw it again there. It knows where to make the sale. It's just not making it a high ROAS. So you need to diversify your campaigns, diversify your product breakout. I'd suggest by category because you don't have too much data right now. And then identify what's going to sell. You're going to probably have to do that multiple times over months. Thank you. Really help. Yep, you're welcome, I'll lead. Tim, thank you. Very welcome. Hi, John. I filled in your website form to become a customer, but I'm in the UK. Do you sell your service companies? Yeah. Yeah, we absolutely, we have, I think, even 2 Australian clients that we work with on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, absolutely. We can definitely work with you. Dan, hey, Dan. Hi, John. Do you think for Black Friday, Cyber Monday 26, it would, do you think for Black Friday, Cyber Monday 26 or 30th, it would be a good idea to change the prices of the product on the store for lower price and then return back after the holiday? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, here's the thing is a sale is going to be more powerful than like just changing prices. So use GMC promotions if you can. Send your promotions through Google Merchant Center. And then also use price extensions. You can do price promotion extension that actually says like, hey, these products are actually 20% off and that kind of stuff. So I would run a sale because people, when they see a sale, is a lot better than just naturally going to your website saying, I think that's cheaper. So run a sale, run it through GMC promotions, maybe add it in a headline in a search ad or anything that you're running on an inbound campaign in your brand as well, and then run it through your price promotions. Just for your help, thank you, John. You're very welcome. I just realized when I increase the budget drastically, my cost per conversion increases. For example, if I bump it from 50 to 200, do you recommend increasing it by some percentage every time? It depends. If you're increasing your budgets and your cost per conversion is going up, a couple things are happening. Either paying more CPC or you're getting just more traffic that is a little bit less, bottom of the funnel. Really, a big strategy is maximize conversions. Yeah. So I would change maximize conversions over to CPC without enhanced. Increase your budgets as much as you can while controlling your cost per click, because max conversions is going to increase your CPC. It's going to say, I can give you as many conversions at any cost. That's what that means. Any amount of conversions at any cost. Maximize conversion says, I will get 3 conversions instead of 2. It's going to cost me $10,000 more to get the 3rd one, but I maximize the conversion. So understand that that is a saturation effect. So cost is not a problem. I'm not looking at cost. I don't care what my budget is. Don't care my cost per conversion. Give me as many conversions as you possibly can. That's what it's doing. So just control that by either switching back to manual or setting a TCPA. Hey, John, the eligible misconfigured mean for smart shopping, is it a feed from Shopify? If it's eligible misconfigured, Dave, is it a new campaign? If it's new campaign, don't worry. It goes away on its own after about 7 days. It's just saying that, hey, we don't have 1,000 match users, but you can actually upload a remarketing campaign anyway. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it just means that, hey, we don't have 1,000 match users to start remarketing. And then once it does, it's like, oh, it's eligible. So don't worry, that goes away on its own. Just make sure that your Google Ads tag is firing ecom prod ID. You're good to go. Bidding strategy is max conversions. Yeah, okay, got that one here. Militia, we have about 2 minutes left. So I have a client who books bands for live events, can't figure out how to get him conversions or quality clicks. We have extensive negative keyword lists and low clicks, no conversions. Help. Try PureBroad if you can. Try PureBroad, Militia. That just means Militia. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. PureBroad is going to say like band tickets. Give it a healthy budget. Give it only 5 broad keywords that are a little bit more long tail, like purchase band tickets and purchase tickets for bands and purchase tickets online. Do PureBroad, run wide open. It might be that there's not enough data and it needs to have more data. Here's the problem: is that your cost per conversion is probably gonna be a little expensive in the beginning. You need to spend some money, give it some time for it to kind of crowdsource on those keywords. But whenever you're in an area where it's like, I'm not getting enough traffic or my traffic's not good, and my conversions, and I'm trying to control this too much, let it run wide open. So maximize conversions and use 5 PureBroad keywords and see if that works. That would be my first test. Thank you for your answers for live stream. Relax at work. Thanks, Roman. Rimar, I'm watching and implementing your Google Ads playlist. I'm on episodes 40 out of 300. Thank you for all the value. You're very welcome. Good luck. For smart shopping, if you set up it from Google directly, it asks you to create a banner and an ad. However, when you created it from Shopify, it doesn't. It's better set from Google directly. No, it actually, Google did that after my course. You actually didn't need an ad before, and now you do. So it's just Google changing the rules like they do every week. Still good to use an ad. Obviously, you have to now. Just know that ad's only going to show up probably like 2-3% of the time. It's only usually for outbound dynamic prospecting when it can't match a product, which very rarely happens. Last one, Dan. In one of the videos, Cosmo said by lowering the price on the store, it will bump the shopping campaign visibility because it knows the lower price potential, so may result in the customers. Yes. So if you actually lower your price, it says price drop. However, during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, everyone's going to be running sales. So you can drop the price, but then you can't run a sale. My opinion is using GMC promotions and promotion extensions during Black Friday, Cyber Monday is better than just dropping your price, because then it's going to say, price drop. But price drop is going to be much better than a sale not during the time when people expect a sale to go on. So think about the psychology of the user. If you're searching and it's like price drop, sale, 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 you're going to be the odd one out. And if you're wrong and they don't react to that, you kind of lost Black Friday, Cyber Monday. The safe way is to do a sale. Test after Black Friday, Cyber Monday if you can run price drops and see if that does help. But again, if you run a price drop, make sure your ROAS doesn't start to fall. So just be mindful. Cool. Okay, I got this last thing I can do, guys. John, on local ads, what does not applicable mean for interactions? The not applicable for interactions, I don't remember exactly where this is in local ads. We don't run local ads very much because our clients usually have to show up for a very specific set of time. The local ads are usually just kind of like bolt-ons. Or like, all right, we'll just stick that on there too. But I think the non-applicable for that is it has to do with Google My Business conversions. So if you're looking at the conversion actions and not applicable, I think the interactions there is it says, hey, this one's not applicable because it's not a conversion action that we're tracking. I think I have to double check. So with video ads, I've heard to run things wide open and let Google find your conversions. When would you want to niche down using keywords? So actually, Smart Retirement, you can. Running video ads, running wide open does well. Here's what I would do instead. Each campaign have its own audience. One campaign, wide open. One campaign, optimized targeting. It's a setting in the ad group. One campaign, DSK. One campaign, custom intent. One campaign, similar audiences. Spend at least $300 a day on each, and then you're going to find that you're going to see some really good things coming out of like 2 or 3 of those. You're going to find it's launchpad. That's my structure that I usually use for video ads. What ad better to use for smart shopping? I mean, with the text on that or lifestyle photo or what? Yeah, just use lifestyle photos. You have to use lifestyle photos because you can only use one. But use a lifestyle photo around as much as possible of your brand. If you have sports equipment, do like a hockey player or something that's a little bit more sporty. But they don't show more than like 2 or 3% of the time. So it doesn't really matter, but try to do something that's just a generic. Like if you were going to stick a picture on the side of a building and of your store, what would that picture be? Use it as your ad. Dan, you're the best. You're welcome. With limited budget, what would be your stance? Smart retirement. With limited budget, don't run YouTube. My opinion, don't. I've never had a YouTube campaign, and I've done thousands of them. If you're not 16 times, I guess I would say 10. If you're not spending 10 times over what your CPA is on a daily ad spend, it's never going to optimize. There is exceptions to the rule, but I don't build campaigns and perform account management for clients on the exceptions to the rule. You're going to be wrong more often than you're going to be right. So my opinion is you could test it. If you did, do DSK. If you want to test it, do DSK. Don't do wide open. Wide opening takes a lot of budget, a lot of time. We did wide open and we had great success, but we spent $250,000 that month. If you have limited budget, do DSK. Do a lot of DSKs. Do 40 or 50 dynamic search keywords. That's the keywords ones. So do that. I heard YouTube needs $100 a day to work at least. Yeah, and that's now the golden rule from Google is 16 times over your CPA on a daily ad spend. So let's do some math here. If your CPA is $20, multiply $20 by 16, you get 320. 320 now is your daily ad spend to start to optimize by day 8. So 16 times over what your CPA is in order to get this thing to optimize by day 8. So that's the rule. There's exceptions to the rule, but just know that that's the rule. All right, everyone, I got to get going, but thank you so much, and we'll see you all next week.